Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in the third Valli, we are at 8th Anuvaka, the second vow, never reject or condemn. First we talked about ninda of anna, accept any type of anna, whichever is offered to you. Maybe sometimes we don't eat certain type of food, that's okay. We can tell that to the host that okay, I am not consuming this type of food, but after that whatever is offered, always consume that, is what is the first vow, a tapa. And that tapa is good for invoking Annamaya Kosha, to realize Annamaya Kosha and go beyond that. So in this second vow, the second tapa, never reject or condemn, meaning whatever happens in our life, accept that. So we are taking one step forward. And Rishi here says, Annam na parichakshita tadvratam apo va annam jyotirannadam apsu jyotih pratishtitam jyotishyapah pratishthitah tade tadanna manne pratishtitam sa ya etadanna manne pratishtitam veda pratitishthati anna va nannado bhavati महान भवति प्रजया पशुभिर ब्रह्म वर्चसेन महान कीर्त्या इत्यष्टमो अनुवाकः. Meaning of this is, may I never reject or condemn food. So be the vow. Water is food. Fire is the consumer of food. Fire is established in water, and water is established in fire. Therefore, food is established in food. He who knows that food is established in food also becomes firmly established. He becomes rich in food, physical and spiritual nourishment, and the consumer of food. He becomes great by means of progeny, cattle, divine, personal radiance. He becomes great in fame. Thus was the 8th Anuvaka. So, Pran is Brahma, Pran is food. Now, water is food. So, we are going one step forward. So, the water, when I said we want to cross physical body, Annamaya Kosha, enter into Pranamaya Kosha. So the Pranamaya Kosha, even though it is prana, that is part of the air, oxygen, but ultimately it is exchanged via that oxygen mixing with blood. Because of blood circulation, all of our body gets nourishment. Even that oxygen is carried by blood. That means water is the next level. So to cleanse that body, to cleanse the pranamaya kosha, the water is food, and using that water, fire is the consumer of that water. So here fire does not mean a fire or with flame. Fire meaning body heat or body warmth. Because of that warmth, that heat, the oxygen is exchanged and carried to the various organs from the blood, and thus prana reaches every cell of our body. So in this notion, water is food and fire is the consumer. And fire is established in water. Water is established in fire. If we look at old times, even in many of the Upanishads or even Rigveda, they talk about Rishis found a way to ignite from water. So they had multiple techniques. and one of them was to use water, get fire out of it. We don't know that process yet. We have a different process. From the water, we have hydro plants, hydroelectric plants, and we get electricity, and from that we get fire. But in old times, there were no electricity, or not mentioned the way we use it today. But they clearly mention that they extract fire out of water. So they call water contains fire, and that fire is extracted out of it. What is the process? We don't know. Maybe in some of the old shastras it is mentioned. Maybe some electrolysis process. It is as simple as taking acidic water, putting copper and I think copper and iron. Put that and that generates electricity. Or take potato, drop it in the water, and from that also electricity can be produced. So these are all electrochemical processes, and so to speak, fire is extracted from water. And that's why Rishi here might be saying that fire is established in water and water is established in fire. Now the word here used is apaha. It's not clearly water, meaning H2O. Apaha could be any liquid. Primordial water or primordial plasmic fluid that existed when the universe was created. From that, everything was liquid form. Hydrogen, helium, or whatever basic elements were there, they were also in their plasma form. So it was like a fluid, and that fluid was very hot, very dense and very hot. So the fire came out of it. Similarly, fire is established in that water, meaning that plasmic fluid. So Rishi might be referring to that process also. I mean, it is not clearly mentioned, but we have to guess, because all these things are applicable within the body, in the atmosphere, in the solar system, or in the universe, everywhere. It's one and the same principle or rule that governs everything. And that's how Rishi concludes that anna, that is water, is established in food, that is anna. And who knows this? Meaning, fire consumes water. The jyoti is from apaha, and apaha is also within the fire, that jyoti. Because of heat, there is cloud and there is water cycle. So because of fire, we get water, and because of water, we also get fire. So it's one in the same, that whole cycle. And one who knows this, whatever happens within the body, in the atmosphere around us, or the universe, gets that Brahma Varchas, the radiance of Brahma, the divine radiance. Meaning, now in the process, that sadhak is one step forward, once he or she knows this process. The process is not mentioned. This is again, this is kind of indirect. Let's see what we get further. Okay, we started with prana. Prana is food, and from there we came to water as food. So now in the 9th Anuvaka, which says third vrata, third vow, increase prosperity for everyone. So prosperity for everyone meaning all the resources be available to everyone, not only humans. In today's world, there is a great inequality in all the resources. The rich gets better, they get more. The poor do not get same nourishment, same resources. So first we need to establish that all the humans must have access to all these resources. Then animals, birds, then plants. So we have to think in terms of the complete ecosystem. We cannot be just isolated as humans because we are part of a greater ecosystem. We are just a tiny speck. And so prosperity for all, meaning prosperity for every living being on this earth. So let's see how Rishi establishes that. Annam bahu kurvita tadvratam pruthivi va annam akasho annadah पृथिव्यामाकाशः प्रतिष्ठितः आकाशे पृथिवी प्रतिष्ठिता तदेतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं स य एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति अन्नवानन्दादो भवति महान् भवति प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन महान् कीर्त्या इति नवमो अनुवाकः. Meaning, may there be plenty of food, so be the vrata or vow. The earth is food. The sky is the consumer of food. The sky is established in earth, and the earth is established in the sky. Therefore, food is established in food. He who knows that food is established in food becomes similarly established. He becomes rich in food, physical and spiritual nourishment, and the consumer of food. He becomes great by means of progeny, cattle, and divine personal radiance. He becomes great in fame. Thus was the ninth Anuvaka. Now here earth is food. So from prana to water to earth. So earth is the basic element where we live on, and it is contained in the space. But there is exchanges happening with the space around. There is electromagnetic waves, there are particles in the atmosphere. When earth rotates around the sun, some of the atmospheric particles, they are kind of left behind. It's like a trace. Similarly, all these things coming from space, electromagnetic waves, gamma waves, X-rays, some plasmic particles, all these even consumed by atmosphere of the earth first and then the earth. So it's like a cycle. Similarly, our body also has space, lungs, various organs. I mean, there is space, even though they are filled with muscles, fat, blood, but still there is space. All the particles, all the atoms, be it solid, liquid or air, all the particles also, there is a center, meaning the center is like a solid earth and there is space, electron roams around in that space. So this concept is everywhere, space and earth. So there is a center which is a nucleus and there is something beyond that. So that earth and space. And earth is food, but it is consumed by space. Earth is in space and space is in earth. Again the same thing. It's a cyclic nature. And one who knows this, again, it's a one step forward in sadhana. And the same words are used. The prajaya, meaning progeny, pashu, meaning prosperity of that time, cattle, and brahma varchas, divine radiance, and fame, kirti. So all these. It is said that once a sadhak is forward, step by step, he or she gets detached from all the worldly prosperity. They go into spiritual prosperity. They are more inclined towards that. So even though when Rishi says that a sadhak gets all these benefits, but that's just when somebody starts sadhana. At that time, they might be attached to worldly enjoyment, worldly prosperity. So for them, it's like a assurance that once you walk this path, you will get all this. That means just even if you have this kind of lobh, your swarth, no matter what, whatever it is, just start and do the sadhana. But after that, these all don't mean anything. Even kirti, meaning fame. Once we get money, good house, vehicles, family, everything is there. The next step is fame. We work to get our name established. Many people should know us. That's what we think or want to have. But even that is, again, we have to go beyond that. And that's how the sadhana evolves. So these, and one can say that these are all the side benefits. For a sadhak, these are not something that they should stop doing sadhana once they achieve this. These are, just ignore them and go forward, because ultimately the goal is to get Brahma, be one with Brahma, or unite with the Parmeshwar or Paramatma. That's the ultimate goal. So until then, all these are kind of side benefits. So be it, so be not. It doesn't matter. So 10th Anuvag, the fourth vow or vrata, never turn away a guest from your door. So this vrata is very important for a gruhastha. Even sannyasi who they don't have anything, they gave up everything. They don't have worldly possessions. I'm talking about old times. Nowadays they have all the luxury, but that's a different thing or story. Even for them, they have to welcome atithi. Whoever comes to their door, they must not reject anyone. It has some, it creates some situations like we saw in Ramayana, that Sita Mata, Ravan came as a Brahman, a Rishi, and asking for food. She could not reject because of that dharma, that as a grihasthi, one must welcome any atithi. But that's a different story. So let's see how this vrata unfolds. न कंचन वसतो प्रत्याचक्षित तद्व्रतम तस्माद्यया कया च विधया बह्वन्नं प्राप्नुयात् अराध्यस्मा अन्नमित्याचक्षते एतद्वै मुखतो अनराद्धं मुखतो अस्मा अन्नराध्यते एतद्वै मध्यतो अनराद्धं मध्यतो अस्मा अन्नराध्यते एतद्वै अंततो अन्नराद्धं अंततो अस्मा अन्नराध्यते य एवं ved. Meaning, may I never turn away anyone from the bhavan or wherever one stays or dwelling. So be the vow. Procure plentiful food by any means whatsoever. To guests say, this food is for you. If food is offered to the guest first, it satisfies the giver first. If food is offered to the guest in the middle, it satisfies the giver in the middle. If food is offered to the guest last, it satisfies the giver last. Thus is it said. So when atithi, meaning whoever comes to your doorstep, welcome, and after welcoming must be offered food. Even though, let's say, food is prepared for home, the family, and somebody visits you, does not mean first consume the food in the family and then whatever is left over, if give it to guest. No, that is the lowest level. Eat with the guest, along with the guest, that is medium level, second level, and let guest first consume the food and then everybody else in the family consume the food. That is the best, because we must satisfy the guest first, and by doing so even the host is satisfied, because that satisfaction, that feeling. So atithi and there are many stories. We have heard about a Brahman who had Dharmaraja taking that pariksha of that Brahmana family in a form of a mongoose. That mongoose visited the Brahmana family and they did not have food for many days and they got bhiksha. So they divided into 4 pieces, one for each family member. The Dharmaraj in the form of mongoose arrives and asks for food. So the Brahmana said, okay, you take my food, my portion. The mongoose wasn't satisfied. Then wife says, you are my husband, you let your portion go, now it's my turn. So she also offers to the mongoose and mongoose is still not satisfied. Then the children, they said, even though we are hungry, we are children, but we are following your footsteps. So we also offer this food to mongoose. So now mongoose is satisfied and mongoose turns around in the leftover food particles and that mongoose became golden in the half body. He became golden in the half portion of the body. So the story starts with yajna done by Yudhishthira. A mongoose with half golden body arrives and tries to roll his body to become fully golden. But it does not happen in that yajna because Yudhishthira had that abhiman that I am the best king and I am on the path of dharma and Shri Krishna is with us, so I am the best. So because of that feeling, Dharmaraja wanted to teach him, and that's how he arrives as a mongoose with half golden body. And then he narrates the story of Brahmana, that Brahmana did this Atithi Yajna. Because of that, my half body is golden, but your Yajna is not equivalent to that. He appears as Dharmaraja afterwards. So that's how this story is. So all these stories, I mean, this is simply said here in this Upanishad, but to explain, to remember all this, these stories are created. Right? So 10th Anuvaka continues. Meditations, contemplations, and chants on the glory of Brahma. Kshema iti vachi, yoga kshema iti pranapanayoho, karmeti hastayoho, gati riti padayoho, vimukti riti payo iti manoshihi samajnyaha, atha devihi trupti riti vrishto balamiti vitti. Meaning, the well-being in speech, the safety and security in prana and apana, the movement of the hands, the steps taken by feet, the evacuation or excretion from the outward process. All these are the meditations via human actions. And now about the divine. The thirst quenching capability of rain, the power of lightning. This is at the physical world, in the physical world, at the physical level, very subtle yet very important message here. So whenever somebody always speaks well, never think about bad for anybody else, even though somebody is enemy, somebody is very bad, still if we do not utter bad thing for that person, kshemam vachi, meaning whatever you speak, you always speak good. That is one of the samajna, that's the word, meaning it is one type of meditation. So because what happens is whenever we are angry, or whenever we are in that feeling, intense feeling, we do not speak well. If we can speak well even in that state of mind, it is meditation. Second is safety and security in prana. Yogakshema. Pran apan. Yogakshemam vahamyam. That is a very famous sentence from Bhagavad Gita. So when Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, whatever yogi does, if he or she is on the path to me, I take care of all things about his or her well-being. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. So that Yogakshema with prana and apana. Prana is upward motion, apana is lower motion. When we breathe in, so everything is balanced, and everything that protects our body and mind, meaning doing pranayama basically. That is one of the meditations. Movement of the hands, karmeti hastayoho. So whatever karma our hands do, if they are done thoughtfully, that is also meditation. Karma is the word used here. Karma meaning whatever is done, even though there is a notion of I, that I am doing, but if that is done and offered to God, offered to Paramatma, that is the karma. So our hands, if they do karma for Paramatma, that is meditation. Gati iti padayoho. Steps taken by feet. There is a prayer that for Jagan Mata, Adya Shakti, that all my steps become yatra for you. That becomes my yatra. Even though from here, from this mandir, I walk towards my home. But if I have this feeling, if I am in this state that this is for Paramatma, this is for Parbrahma, this is for Adya Shakti, or any form you like, that becomes yatra, that becomes meditation. This is also one of the meditations. And evacuation or extraction of all the shuddhi we do in the morning. So even we call them or consider them filth or dirt from the body, that is also meditation, because that process cleanses us. Something bad is going out of the body that affects our body, so that also becomes meditation. So these are all the worldly or the physical level, all these are meditations. So sthul meditations, sthul dhyana. The word here is ajna, samajnyaha. So samajnya meaning your mind becomes sthita prajna. In the second adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita, this is how Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, or Arjuna asks this question, sthit prajna se kya lakshana, kya bhasha, meaning how that yogi behaves, how that yogi lives in this world. So these are also some of the things that are mentioned of a yogi or of a sadhak, how he or she lives in this world. All his or her actions, whatever is mentioned here, are something we do every day, every second, every minute. So all these things become our sadhana. All these steps, all this process also become our dhyana, meditation. And we become sthit prajna in all this. Sthit prajna meaning in equilibrium state, equanimous to everything. That is sadhana. We don't have to do anything else. That is what is mentioned. And for divine or daivi, what is daivi samajna? So very surprising, but not that surprising. Thirst quenching capability of rain. When rain drop, when soil is dry, a, a first drop of rain that creates this smell, that creates that atmosphere, that creates that quenching, thirst quenching atmosphere or ability everywhere. So that is Daivi Samajna, Daivi Dhyana. So it's the dhyan of that level. So when we observe, if rain falls, we just ignore. We keep doing our job, right? We do not pay attention. But if we pay attention to every drop that is falling down, that becomes Daivi Dhyana, Daivi Samajna. The power of lightning. In that Vidyut, many are afraid of thunderstorms. They don't want to go out and see that. Many can see that, but still they ignore, right? We just look at it, oh, very big lightning, that's all. We get surprised, but we don't go beyond that. So that is one of the Daivi Samajna. That is also a way to look at the lightning. That look at it and see what is happening. And you still become Sthit Prajna. So that is Daivi Dhyana. यश इति पशुषु ज्योतिरिति नक्षत्रेषु प्रजातिरमृतमानंद इत्युपस्थे सर्वमित्याकाशे तत्प्रतिष्ठेत्युपासित प्रतिष्ठावान् भवति तन्मह इत्युपासित महान् भवति तन्मन इत्युपासित मानवान् भवति. Now Daivi Satta or Sukshma, continuing, meaning the fame of cattle, the light of the stars, the immortal joy of procreation of the sexual organ, and everything in the vast space of the sky. He who worships these as that in which everything is established becomes established himself. He who worships that as great himself becomes great. He who worships that as mind himself becomes endowed with universal mind. So these are all Daivi Satsta, Sukshma Dhyana, Sukshma Samajna. Started with thirst quenching rain, then the lightning, then the fame of cattle, yash of Pashu. Now in old times, Pashu were the prosperity, right? I have this many cows, this many horses. So out of those Pashu who are great, in those times they used to have, even today, there is a horse race or there is a battle of bullocks, that kind of things still prevailing in some of the villages. So whoever is winner of that, meaning yash of that particular animal, it is considered Daivi Dhyana, Daivi Samajna. Meaning, if lot of people recognize your Pashu, that oh, he has that horse, even then you become equanimous. You do not create arrogance within you. That becomes Daivi Samajna, meaning you are on that next level. The light of the stars, Jyotihi Nakshatreshu. Nakshatra meaning all the stars, 27 or 28 nakshatras we talk about. So all the light in that. We do not look at stars, we just enjoy sometimes that okay, different figure, different sign, we just look at it sometime, or maybe a purpose is different, maybe future predictions and all that. But instead of that, if we focus on the light of the stars, so that becomes Daivi Samajna. Because if we are in open, if we look at sky and all these various stars, we become very humble. We know our place. We are not even tiny speck in this universe. It is such vast. So at that time we realize how little we are. So all the arrogance, all this hatred or all these negative emotions, they go out of us. And that's why it is called Daivi Samajna. And also procreation, joy of procreation, that is very much close to state of samadhi. It is though for very few tiny times, but that also tells us, okay, this is also something beyond physical body. So that is also Devi Satta. And everything in the vast space. So apart from nakshatras, the sky is not empty. There are other stars. Stars are everywhere. So ultimately, if we look at it, we try to see where we are, who we are, and how we are. Then we become very humble. We become very equal to everything. So next is Tannama ityupasita namyante asmai kamaha tad brahmetyupasita brahmavan bhavati tad brahmanah parimara ityupasita paryenam mriyante dvishantah sapatnaha pariyeya priya bhatruvyaha sa yaschayam purushe yaschasa vaditye sa ekah. Meaning, all desires bow down in upasana to him who contemplates on that as worthy of upasana. He himself becomes Brahma, who contemplates on that as Brahma. When he contemplates on Brahma as the destructive force, his hateful enemies and people he dislikes die. He who is in Purusha and he who is in the Sun is one. So, continuation of the previous one. Who worships that Tat as everything also becomes part of that. We say Tattvamasi, that is the Brahma Vakya, and Om Tat Sat, meaning that Tat is everything. When we see that everything is within that, meaning Tat, meaning Brahma. If everything is within Brahma and Brahma is within everything, then we become Brahma. We become one with the Brahma. And that is the access to the universal mind. When we say man, we always confined man with brain. That there has to be brain, and within the brain there is mind. If you look at tiny ant, it may not have the brain, the most complex brain that we have, but it has better mind than us in certain aspect. If you look at the colony built by the ants, we get surprised. We cannot build anything at that level. We carry weight maximum up to our own weight. If I am 70 kilogram, I cannot, maybe some athletes who compete at Olympic level, they can carry more weight than their own. But an ant, a simple ant, carries 50 times more than its own weight. So, meaning if I am 70 kilogram, I must carry 3500 kilogram, a car, without any effort. If I am able to carry, then I am equal to an ant. And we still become very arrogant, right? So we have access to universal mind once we become one with Brahma. So universal mind is at play everywhere. Even tiny bacteria, virus, they also have their mind. Those tiny virus, how strong we are, how good we are, how prosper we are. If a virus colony attacks us, we are down for days, right? So who are more mighty, they or us? So there is universal mind everywhere, and we get access to that. and all desires bow down in upasana to him, that tat. Once we realize this, we just surrender, and that is the goal. Now, in the later part, Rishi says one who contemplates Brahma as the destructive force. Now, this is talking about Ugra Upasana. When we talk about Tantra, some of the Tantric Marg is of Ugra Upasana. We have Saraswati Devi, Mata Saraswati, very Saumya, very Sattvic form. But then there is a counterpart, Matangi Devi. She is also Saraswati, but in Ugra form. And her sadhana is also very Ugra. But that is for destructive goal or for destruction of certain things. Similarly, Brahma can also be done, or Upasana is done to kill enemies or to remove hatred. Killing enemy does not mean physically harming somebody, but removing that enmity, removing that hatred is the goal. And that is Ugra Sadhana. Ganapati is Saumya, everybody likes Ganapati. But there is a Ugra form of Ganapati also, Uchishta Ganapati. He is very Ugra and nobody can tolerate his sadhana. There is Hanumanji. There is Saumya Hanumanji who is Bhakta of Ramchandra. But then there is Hanumanji who has 5 heads. He is Ugra. He is about to kill whoever comes in contact. So that is Ugra Sadhana. Similarly, Shiva and Kala Bhairava. So Shiva is Saumya form and Kala Bhairava Ugra form. There is Adya Shakti as Jagat Mata. But then there is Kala Bhairavi or Mahakali as Ugra form. So Brahma can be either. It's our choice how we want to do Upasana. So Ugra Upasana is for certain purpose and must not be followed basically. It's not for normal people like us. There are people who do that, but then it's their choice and the result they have to bear. Now,
isn't the reason for that they're trying to eliminate something that is negative? Isn't the intent
is that?
good?
So I want to remove hatred or enmity from an enemy. That is my goal.
Right.
So doing Saumya Upasana is not fruitful. I have to do Ugra Upasana for that. But do it rightly. Many people or majority of the people, they use that as a wrong mean.
The wrong way.
Right.
The intent is the
Intent, yes. And also the Ugra Sadhana is, let's say if somebody says that you have to go to Smashan, stay there at midnight and do this sadhana. Very few would do because it's a Ugra Sadhana and people are afraid of doing that. Even though they know that you are protected, nothing is going to happen, but still that type of environment or process is not for everyone. There is internet is filled with many of such videos and information. There is Karna Pishachini Sadhana. Karna Pishachini meaning, if we do that sadhana, the Pishachini form appears next to our ears, keeps telling us future. But the caveat is, once she is invoked, once our sadhana is done and Karna Pishachini is with us, she is with us forever. Even if we don't want her, she will still be there and will be chattering. So be ready for that if somebody wants to do that. So these are all Ugra Sadhana and must not be touched if you do not have any immediate or very solid reason. Even in old times, even Rigveda does not preach or say to do Ugra Sadhana, but many a places, in particular suktas, they say, okay, kill my enemy by doing this. So they have indirect indication of Ugra sadhana. But that sadhana, they always talk about killing my enemies who are stopping me from doing good things. So they kind of entangle in such things. But not on, meaning they do not preach just Ugra sadhana. There may be a part in your regular sadhana, but not as a only means. And one who sees the same Brahma in humans or animals or even the sun get access to that Brahma. So everything is one and the same. And we can stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.